And some of you got to stop. You know, the Bible said a double-minded person is unstable in all their ways. So double-mindedness doesn't just affect your relationships, it affects your finances, it affects your future, it affects your creation, it affects every aspect of your life. A double-minded person is unstable in all their ways, and we have double-minded Christians. You know, you can't have two churches because then two means double. You'll be double-minded. Which pastor do you listen to? Probably the one that you agree with, but that's not what you need. You need somebody that will tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. So in the early days of Long Island, that was the bane of our existence. Everybody had 7 churches out here. And we're like, well, which one do you submit to? And what we found out, it was the one that said what they wanted to hear. And then if we didn't say what they wanted to hear, they'd go to all the other 6 until somebody did. Like playing the Christian slot machine. Come on, pastor, let me fornicate. Hey, come on, pastor, let me drink but not get drunk even though I know I'm getting drunk. Is this on? And so what happens is, when the reason why I'm really saying this is I want to help it make sense on a deeper level. The thing that you need about your mind is your thoughts are inherited. This is what I'm trying to help you understand. And you probably didn't inherit biblical thoughts. So people all the time say, I don't like what Pastor Mike says about this subject or this. What they don't understand is that my goal as a preacher is to not say my opinion. My goal is to get up here and tell you what his opinion is in the word as clear as I can make it. Matter of fact, there's some things I wish I could change in the Bible, but I can't change because God's the same yesterday, today, and forever. And if he said it in his word, I have to submit to what he says, not what I think, because what I think I got from a man, but what he says came from the throne. And I don't need man. See, if you do man's thoughts, you get man's ways and you get man's results. But if you do it God's way, you get God's results. So there's a submission that has to take place to his ways. But how can you submit to a word you don't read? For my people perish for the lack of knowledge. Well, Pastor Mike, I'm too busy to read the Bible. But you're not too busy to scroll. Pastor Mike, but I'm tired. But you stayed up all night scrolling. Pastor Mike, my kids are too loud. Buy some headphones. Come on, devil. Stop making excuses and start making moves. Move into his presence. Move into daily discipline. If you can shower every day, you can pray every day. If you can brush your teeth every day, some of you need to. That's a daily thing. Twice a day would be even better. You can pray. Come on, devil. So we've got to, I think being a Christian, what happens with being a Christian is the deeper you get, the more basic you become. Everybody thinks that the deeper you get as a Christian, the more profound you come. You know what's profound? Pray every day. That's profound. Read the Bible every day. That's profound. Matter of fact, the deeper you go into Christianity, the more simple you become. You actually forgive people instead of holding grudges. You actually reconcile. You actually tell the gospel to the person that's walking in the grocery store by you that the Holy Spirit gave you a word of knowledge for. You actually pray for sick people when they're sick. You actually come into work and you work with all your might in a way that honors and glorifies God. So to go deeper in the Christian faith is to become more simple. And that's why we have itching ears that are like, give me some crazy prophetic word, give me some Greek, Hebrew, Aramaic word, give me some kind of, it's like we're always seeking these crazy experiences. But I think when I look at renewing your mind, what it is just simply submitting to the fundamental truths of the way God thinks. And it sounds so easy, but actually it's so hard. It's easy to understand, but it's hard to do. So like understanding forgiveness is easy, but actually forgiving the person who sexually assaulted you is very hard. It's easy to understand I shouldn't be walking around angry, but when you feel angry, switching the whole, have you ever done that where you try to switch out of an emotion? That's hard to do. Because you're like, well, but I know why I'm angry, and it's super justifiable. So switching out of that is the hard thing, right? It's like, understanding how you should honor God in your finances and make a budget that includes seeking the kingdom first, and he'll add all this unto you. That's easy. But then that moment comes to sign up for reoccurring, and you're like, no, I'll be an emotional giver, and I'll give when I have a lot of money, and I won't give when I don't, and then I'll give when I feel like it. It's like what we do is we go the way of least resistance, which is why Jesus said it's a narrow road, it's a narrow gate, and many won't walk it. It's not because they don't understand how to walk it, it's because they don't want to actually do the commands. And this is why you fill up whole conferences with people who want prophecy, but you can't get people to distribute food in Brooklyn because we don't want to do the commands of Jesus. We just want to hear about him and make ourselves feel better. So we have to, renewing your mind is much more about saying, I've inherited multiple generations of attitudes, behaviors, and thoughts that I need to demolish and renovate and destroy, and then I need to rebuild in my own mind the mind of Christ. And that is hard work. I don't have a six-pack yet. I'm on my way, though. Come on, don't be laughing. But it becomes the equivalency of when you see somebody with a physique and you admire it, you knew that it took work. And so to acknowledge a man or woman of God is not to make an idol of them, but rather to acknowledge the work they put in to get to that point. Does that make sense? Because people are like, oh, I look at the way they idolize Julie. She's not all that. She's just a humble servant. And it's like, well, no, Julie's been on a journey to say, not my will, thy will, for so many years that it transformed her into the kind of woman that can lead with grace under fire and under pressure. And so we're not honoring Julie in the way that the world honors celebrities or makes an idol, but rather we're acknowledging, Lord, maybe one day I can be as submitted as that. Maybe one day I can be as committed as that. Does that make sense? So in the Christian faith, because Julie was telling me that the other day, I was like, it's kind of weird when people want to take pictures with me. And she said, no, these young guys who are taking pictures with you are the same guys that nobody has a problem taking a picture with a basketball player. But how much more somebody that's devoted their life to the gospel. To say, like, you're not making an idol, but rather you're acknowledging, wow, I want to work myself into that level of submission. Does that make sense? So renewing your mind. So this is my point. Nobody can see in my mind, but you can see the effects of my mind.